Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard.
Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on our podcast. He's from a party we often interview on this podcast, the Libertarian Party. And I'm going to have him give us his name, first and last name, and the branch of the Libertarian Party, the state he's in a second. So, welcome to the podcast. Kindly give us your first and last name and the branch of the Libertarian Party.
My name is Samuel Ross. I'm in the New Jersey Libertarian Party.
Excellent. And what position are you with the party?
Right now I'm the vice chair.
Vice chair. Okay, excellent. If we could start by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
As far as politically, I've generally just been always questionable of Republicans and Democrats both. And, early on, I kind of found like a home in the Libertarian Party, but was always considered more of a small L, never really got involved. Always just the association thing, never really got too heavy into the politics of it. And, just more recently with the way everything's been going, I just felt like I would kind of get my feet wet and see what I could do to help push things along in the name of freedom.
Sure, sounds excellent.
Everything in a
So
nutshell,
you say I'm sorry, can I cut you off? Go ahead.
No, I've done, a lot of protests and stuff like anti-war during the Bush era, stuff like that.
Okay.
More active in those days that we see during the Revolution March. And just kind of, I did my thing with music and kind of stepped away from much of that. And now I'm kind of coming back into it on more of a personally active level, I guess.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Vice Chair, what are the roles and responsibilities of that position for the New Jersey Libertarian Party?
Basically, I'm there to assist anybody else on the board with anything they need as far as organization or tasks or anything at hand that comes up. Helping with the chair. Also, if the chair can't be there, I can step in their stead for a meeting. Something like that. It's generally a non-position, just, somebody to be there and get a hand where I can and, put in my 2 cents where it needs to be put in.
Okay, that sounds good. So in New Jersey right now, what are some of the issues that the Libertarian Party is dealing with?
At the moment, it's just generally getting the word out that we're active, that we're an actual option other than the standards.
Okay.
Get people enrolled into more local. We have a legislative session going on. We have Ken Kaplan for Mendez's old seat. We just have to get some signatures. And right now this year we're just focusing on getting the people elected, or at least people that are running for office, into some more social media platforms, getting together some post announcements, things like that. It's the election year, so that's really what we're focused on.
Okay. So what positions is the New Jersey Libertarian Party running candidates for?
Off the top of my head, there's a few, like I said, Ken Kaplan's running for Senate where Menendez was. There's a couple council, I think, and other just state Senate legislative positions.
Okay. So a bunch of statewide positions you're running for in this upcoming election.
Yes.
I've interviewed some New Jersey Greens, and I understand that, correct me if I'm wrong, the governor election is not this year, but it's the next cycle, right?
I do believe it is this year, but we really haven't had anybody who's wanting to run.
Okay.
Governor.
Okay. Okay, so it is this year. Okay, I was mistaken then. So when you're looking for candidates to represent the party for these races, what qualities are you looking for?
We want people who, really uphold libertarian values.
Okay.
Within the platform, and people who won't, we're trying to weed out the people that are going to maybe drop out, near the end, people that would endorse rhinos or something like that in the past. We're kind of not looking for, there's people, unfortunately, like Greg Neely, who jumped to the other party, and hopefully we can, get him back in. He was a great Liberty candidate. I loved what he did running for governor. But, it's, for some reason, some things got a little muddied up, I guess, and he decided to go somewhere else for the meantime. But, that's what we're trying to do now. A newly elected board, all of us get along. We've actually, worked together on other things and get together on a friendly level as well within the whole board itself. And I think that will help get more things accomplished and maybe have more people want to run under our ticket.
Okay. So you believe that if you have a social bond, that's going to benefit the party as a whole for the political realm?
Well, especially the board itself, being able to be friendly with each other. There's no animosity. There's no internal drama. We're just hey, let's get this going. We all kind of have the same head about it. Ariel's already stood up in front of the state legislature to make statements about a law they were trying to pass to make it harder to obtain emails between police officers for FOIA requests. We're also doing a lot of active, Jim Tucson is heading a preemptive ordinance activism, and we've actually gotten a couple of township codes repealed. Concerning loitering, concerning taxes, lowering some tax rates, interest rates and stuff in townships.
Okay.
So we're trying to affect things where we can.
Okay.
And
so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I feel like we're getting some good momentum.
Okay.
We're getting noticed by some of the lawyers in the townships and stuff that are helping us out with this legislative process.
Oh, that's good. That's a plus. So you mentioned loitering laws. I'm assuming that you would be against them. I am wondering, libertarian parties are all about private property too. Sometimes loitering is done on private property. So, if you care to share about specifically what did you want to change about the loitering law?
Just generally, it's considered a preemptive ordinance, wherein it's a standing law that is enforced more based on other factors. Like if somebody's hanging out outside of a store and they're kind of a vagrant, they're going to be harassed more, and this law is going to be used to be able to harass them. When otherwise, just be resting after walking or something. Don't need to be harassed. Things like that. Like it's kind of like we, libertarians generally want to get the cops out of our everyday life, get the government out of our everyday life. If somebody's not causing harm, why should they be stopped? Why should they be searched? Why should they be harassed? Out there better for them.
Okay. So I hear oftentimes loitering laws are used against homeless people. Is that happening in your area as well?
There have been instances locally where some homeless camps have been raided, stuff like that. But generally, they find their way. Life will always find a way, I guess, is the epithet. Like, people are going to have to live, and especially with the economy being the way it is, more people need to live that way.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there has been some issues with that. But there's generally, if they're not causing any harm, nobody really makes a big stink about it.
Okay.
Which is a good.
Sure. Yeah, we want cops focusing on stuff that matters.
And their safety is key too. We don't want people, advertising where they are either.
Sure. So what would you say your party's solution is to homelessness in your area? Is it, one time I had a libertarian candidate that said multiple solutions because there's multiple facets of the homeless problem, different reasons people are homeless. So is that what you would say, or do you have another take on the matter?
I believe one of the more functionable solutions is small housing.
Okay.
People who are willing to allow, like, kind of like efficiency homes,
Okay.
wherein this person could have something to live in, sustain themselves, and, you know, almost have like a community of them where,
Sure.
you know, they are responsible for taking care of it. It gives them an address, gives them a place to clean up and do better for themselves. And they have
Sure.
always been shown to do a lot better than, you know, homeless shelters with curfews, restrictions, you know, things like that. Like, I mean, these people living on the street, they don't want to deal with that rigmarole, that structure. You know, it's not a world suited for them, for their lifestyle, for their mind, you know. So you got to cater to who they are and let them, you know, do well in their own environment rather than force them into something else, you know.
Okay. So would you say that the reason there's not more of these tiny houses is government regulations are preventing those, or what's the holdup?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anywhere they have been tried, they have been done. A lot of times the government has interceded, knocked them down, said it's not livable conditions, you know, because they might not be hooked up to plumbing. There might be, you know, like outhouse type of thing going on, or something like that's more feasible for that type of living. But,
Sure.
you know, or they don't have electricity, they don't have, you know, but you have like self-sustaining means, you know, like heated blankets and stuff like that. Sometimes there's power, but other times there's not. You know, maybe there's like a wood stove or something. Depends on where they
Okay.
are, what's functional for the environment too.
Okay. Okay,
But I
that
guess,
makes sense.
like the homesteading idea, the anarchy idea, like the government shouldn't, if they can live, if they're alive, if safe, like who cares if they have plumbing and heat, you know, they can still have a blanket out of the room.
Okay.
You know, like some
Yeah.
people
Yes.
are more even comfortable doing that themselves rather than
Yeah.
being in a home and the utility bills, you know,
Yeah.
like the choice is really the thing. Like people would rather choose to do that. Cool. As long as you're
Yeah.
sustaining yourself, you're not harming anybody. Why is the government saying no?
Yes. And in many cases, when the government is making these regulations, it's all or nothing. If the house isn't perfect, then you can't have a house, and then the person's out on the street without anything. So if somebody's on the street, almost anything is going to be better than nothing.
Yeah.
So
And,
you get,
you know, and again, those communities are, you know, it's not unlivable. It's not slumlord type stuff. It's comfortable living, you know, like somebody's been in there before taking care of it. You know, if you don't take care of it, you're gone. If you're not
for
like
sure.
mowing the lawn around your area or making sure, you know, weeding it and stuff like that, like certain things. And that's what makes people thrive. Having pride in, hey, I'm accomplishing something. Hey, I'm doing something. This is where I live. My home. This is my space. And that
For sure.
gets more people out of the rut that put them into homelessness in the first place, you know?
Makes sense. That makes sense. So if I may ask, what area of New Jersey are you in? Are you in a rural area or your urban area? What's the area that you're in, Mike? You
I
don't
live
have to say exactly where it is, of course.
Tuckerton, New Jersey.
Okay.
Used to be Clamtown. A long time ago. There's a lot of revolutionary history out here.
Oh.
Right between the shore and the Pine Barrens near Long Beach Island, just north of Atlantic City. I guess, you know, piney territory, if you want to call it.
Okay.
So, and I've worked with some conservation efforts in preventing pipelines from coming through the Pine Barrens in the past,
Oh.
and helping protect from ATV damages, things like that.
Okay.
We're trying to get together to map the roads so that there's a legal place for people to ride, so they know where they can and can't, where it's not damaging the flora and fauna.
Okay.
Because especially in the
Okay.
Pine Barrens, It's, there's no other place like the Pine Barrens. There's plants that live here and people are driving over them. But this is fun, So, even as a libertarian, I feel like education and conservation efforts are appropriate.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so there is so your version of libertarianism would involve some environmentalism that would benefit the community as a whole.
Well, yeah, especially, like the state forests and preserved lands are preserved for a reason. A lot of it is like you'll never see anything like it anywhere else. And, we don't need to have income tax paying for it. We can have more of a privatized structure, help and maintain it.
Okay.
Certain things like that, I do approve of certain things, but I don't always approve of the government taking your money and saying, this is what I'm doing with it. It should be done in a very means,
Okay. So does New Jersey have a sales tax?
Yes.
Okay. So I assume you'd want to repeal that, right?
Personally, I'm not too against the sales tax. I think the sales tax I think that's more of a voluntary effort.
Okay.
Especially, we come into the free market territory. If I don't want to pay a sales tax on something, I will go to a black market or go to somebody else, trade or barter. I want it to be I could still obtain those services. There should be no illegality of that. You should have the right to choose if your money goes towards it or not.
Huh. Okay. So you think that the tax money could go to legitimate places such as police protecting businesses from theft and other stuff, so that sales tax would have a beneficial purpose?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the police structure is another one, that could come into a general fund of sales tax and other things. There's other ways to structure it, but we don't have to go into those specific details of it. But in general, with less government intrusion, there's less need for a large police force, which reduces the cost, reduces
Sure.
If communities want to hire security personnel, we can. So there's other arguments on that level as well with the privatization, pros and cons, things like that. But generally, government is more. You need this, you need that, you need to pay this corporation this money to say that you can live in your house. A lot of those laws going back into the small communities and stuff, the arguments within how the government intrudes on it, because you're not connected to the utility and you're not paying the security company money, you can't live here. And I feel like that's corporate interest with the laws and policies that need to be taken away.
Okay, that sounds good. So you say that earlier you talked about your party is getting on all the social media platforms. What platforms are you currently on?
Right now, Ariel does more of the Twitter stuff, some more of the Facebook. I do some of the Facebook stuff. So we have a meeting coming up, and we're going to brainstorm some general public service announcements, media announcements, because we have to be active in sending stuff to the media, like, hey, what's going on? Here's the information. Even if it's just a synopsis, a biography of somebody running, and, get them interested. We were able to get some media to come to our convention to record the debate, which is awesome.
Oh.
They were from but it was local enough for them to consider coming down, and they did. And that's just a part of, like, you just have to reach out. You have to do, it's part of getting your boots on the ground. Like, hey, this is what we're doing, instead of letting the media portray us as something we're not,
Sure. So you said you had the debate at your convention. What was the debate for?
It was for the presidential nomination.
Okay, so you hosted it at your personal convention.
At the state convention, I was not personally involved. I had, just been elected chair. I do have a small baby at home. She's about 5 months old now. So I went for the morning business and I went home after that. So I personally was not there for all of that event.
Okay.
Over 12 hours a day. When the baby's that young, it's a little bit much, I could do, and
Okay.
it was more to be part of the business part of the convention. And to my surprise, that I was like nominated at that moment. I wasn't even like really actively running or pursuing it either.
Oh, so somebody nominated you.
I got a few. It was from the more notable one was from Tim O'Brien. He's the chair of the Southern chapter, and
Okay.
last year I was the vice chair of the Southern chapter. And was helping with their social media, getting more engagement, getting more discussions going on libertarian values within the media, things like that, and kind of helped gather a little bit more attention, positive attention towards us in that forum. So he gave me
Okay.
a way to help,
Okay. So how can our audience support the New Jersey Libertarian Party?
Like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, heart react, comment, things like that. If you want to have more of that voice in the media, social media, you have to interact. You have to even just like leave an emoji or like a hell yeah or something or anything positive, and that will help bring more people to be able to see it, bring us up in the algorithms. And then also drown out the trolls.
All right.
That's a big one. Is like the more positive we are together as a force, like being outspoken about who we are, what we really are about what we're doing in the personal meetings, rather than just what's being argued about in some of the groups. It's we need to actually really put a face on it.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. We thank you for coming on the podcast today and talking about the New Jersey Libertarian Party. It sounds like you're doing some good stuff, so we appreciate that.
Oh, appreciate you reaching out. I was going through some messages and stuff, and I noticed it, and I was like, hey, that's part of what we're trying to do is more outreach. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Awesome. Our pleasure. We wish you all the best in the party work and also everything else you do in your personal and professional life.
Thank you very much.
Take care and all the best.
You too.